On July 17th of 2024, the Pirate Software Game Jam number 15 started, and I chose to join it. For those of you who don't know what a game jam is, it's basically a contest where a community of people try to make a game under constraints of time and theme. The time limit for this jam was 2 weeks, and the theme was Shadows and Alchemy. Now, as soon as the theme was announced, I did two things. First, I pretty much disregarded the Shadows portion of the theme, planning to include Shadows into the story of the game rather than the gameplay. I wasn't really interested in a stealth game like Metal Gear or anything like that. The second thing I did was race to YouTube and find videos explaining alchemy and its history, since I knew that when people heard alchemy, that their first thought was probably going to be something like potion brewing, but I wanted to be a bit more unique in my approach. I found this video with Hank Green, and while it explained some stuff I already knew, like how historically alchemy was about transmuting metals into other metals, but I did learn about this cool term Palingenesis, which basically means rebirth. That heavily affected the story of my game, and also eventually became the name of the game. So, thank you very much, Hank Green. Anyways, I had a pretty solid idea for the gameplay. It was going to be a puzzle platformer where you played as an alchemist, a little guy who was made out of metal or something, and you could transmute yourself into 3 different types of metal. Iron, which would be magnetic, copper, which was conductive, and gold, which was super heavy. The first couple of days were dedicated to prototyping, getting the ability to transmute working, some simple sprites, and making the magnets really were not that hard. Let me tell you, I am pretty good at coding. Or at least I like to believe it. So I was heading into day 4 extremely confident, and I was going to tackle the weighted platforms for the gold. Dear God. Suffice to say, I struggled a little bit on the weighted platforms. I don't know how or why they were giving me so much trouble, but I was consistently tweaking them for the rest of the game jam after I'd gotten them to a point where they were kind of working. But I prevailed and finished prototyping after just a few more days. Then I came up to my next issue, which was that I couldn't come up with puzzles very quickly. The first few levels were fine, but after that I didn't want to make the puzzles too repetitive, so I got caught up on making them for a while, and I wasn't too happy whenever I drew a mock-up. But playtesting with my friends and random people revealed that while I wasn't on track to reach the quantity of levels I wanted to make for the game, the quality was apparently pretty good. And besides the compliments from playtesting spoon-feeding my enormous ego, the criticisms were enormously helpful, like giving the player an indicator on what metal they'll turn into, rather than making them blindly remember the order. Playtesting is important, kids. I also had to do sound effects and music, which was another step of difficulty for me since I don't really consider myself good at either of them, so I never really included much or any sound effects or music in my previous little games I've been making and never finished. I opted to make some 8-bit sounds since I thought that would be easier. I did some polishing on the visuals since I wanted to make the game both feel good to play and good to look at. I didn't want someone skipping over my game just because it didn't look like I put much effort into the visuals. Some screen shake here, some particles there, and blam! Looked pretty nice. The last few days were spent solely on making levels. Despite this being my first game jam, I feel like I did a really good job on the scope. I was able to get pretty much everything I wanted to get done. Besides the levels. I still didn't get all the levels done. I got like 8 out of the 15 I wanted to get done, I'm sorry. And people really liked it. Immediately I got comments from people playing the game saying they really liked the mechanics, that the concept was brilliant, that the puzzles were satisfying and sophisticated. All things I already knew since I'm awesome, there's no doubting that, but reading all this stuff really just made me feel absolutely amazing. My ego is the size of the planet at this point, and we'll have to deal with that later. Now, even with all the nice comments, I'm nowhere near the top in terms of popularity. I didn't go into this expecting to win either way, it was more of a learning experience for me. And playing some of the more popular games, I can certainly see why they are indeed so popular. I'm not planning on abandoning this game after the game jam either. With how much people liked the game, I want to go back and continue working on it, giving it a bunch of new levels, some of the mechanics and gimmicks that had to be slashed for time, and making it a proper release somewhere. Maybe on Steam, who knows. If you want to check out the game, I have a link in the description. Tell me what you think about it or any recommendations and critiques you may have. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you later.